2017, CEF embarked on a journey to examine the state of play of public sector asset management in Southeast Europe.
Our exploration revealed a pressing need for a continuous training for officials managing public sector assets. Surprisingly, there were no learning initiatives that offered
a holistic and interdisciplinary approach to public sector asset management training, diverse perspectives, including those of academics and practitioners, scientifically grounded and practical solutions to numerous challenges in public sector asset management.
This realization inspired us to create Epsom, a 3-year training program funded by Slovenia Aid and Partnership. Epsom encompasses a various set of different learning formats that foster and create an environment for exchange of information, best practices, and also gathers recommendations on how to more efficiently manage public sector assets.
Over the past 2 years of Epsom implementation, we gathered valuable insights of experts. We invite you to enjoy this video, hear recommendations, and join us on the journey towards better public asset management.
Assets are important vehicles in delivering public services, and sharing knowledge, exchanging experience is very important. Countries in the region are facing similar difficulties, similar challenges, and they need to communicate.
Government assets stand at the heart of public service delivery. For this reason, public sector asset management stands at the forefront of public financial management.
Managing public sector buildings needs to be more about financial management and technical management, because public buildings provide services. So we need a whole view, a holistic view of those buildings to make sure they are serving their purpose and they're adequate for what we're using them for.
To manage public sector assets, you really need to know what you have, in what state it is, what do you need to do to maintain it, and how to plan for the future. Never has it been more important than now to know how your assets are performing, particularly when there is increasing pressure on public sector assets such as infrastructure assets, under the fiscal burdens, under the challenges of climate change and extreme weather events.
Countries have been struggling with compiling an opening balance sheet. What's important to emphasize is that needs for collecting the information on assets do not necessarily need to be driven by the very fact of conducting financial reporting reforms. So if we are to collect the information on assets, that information that is to be collected needs to serve purposes that are beyond financial reporting purposes. They need to also serve managerial purposes, and they need to serve the purposes of a better, more transparent decision-making process in the public sector.
The Epsom project is of high importance because it deals with not only the accounting aspects, it also covers organizational and institutional aspects of managing public sector fixed assets more efficiently. Among other issues, it deals with a complicated topic, I would say, the very measurement of assets. And this topic is even more complicated in the public sector context. Why? Well, because in the public sector context, assets are very rarely revenue generating like private sector assets. They are held because of their service potential, because they support public sector entities in providing services to citizens, which is their main mission. This is the reason why standard setters modified the definition of assets by considering not only their ability to generate economic benefits, but also for their service potential. And this different definition implies several consequences. And the project, among other things, deals with these aspects and these implications.
A key underlying assumption in our activities is that accounting issues concerning public sector assets cannot really be understood without looking at the wider topic of fixed asset management in the public sector. That is, how we are going to use accounting information, but also non-financial information, to improve decisions concerning public sector assets and to increase accountability for such decisions. Fixed asset management, in turn, cannot really be understood without looking at the bigger picture of policies concerning public sector assets and overall public sector management reforms. Some topics may be technical, but in the end, what we are talking about is how to increase the contribution of public sector assets to the provision of public services.
Assets management is one of the key processes in the reform of the public sector, since the significant part of public revenues is spent on the acquisition, reconstruction and construction of public assets. The establishing this system requires the adoption of the clear plan for the activities to be undertaken, as well as the time frame for the implementation. Once the system is established, it is necessary to constantly improve it. The existence of different types of property in the public sector requires the adoption of special solution for each type of property, but which are based on the same conceptual framework. This solution must take into account the characteristics of each country, but the unique within one country.
Everybody agrees that efficient public sector asset management is important. However, it is generally lagging behind in Southeastern Europe, but also elsewhere. Often this is because nobody feels it is their specific responsibility to start and sustain the process. Supreme audit institutions is generally well respected, especially in the public sector. Its opinions and recommendations do carry weight. In Croatia, we carried out a number of audits on assets management by local governments. Some audits simply intended to verify that local governments had complete and updated information about their fixed assets. Other audits were performance audits, meaning that we looked how local government managed with the assets. What is important, however, is that when we carried out the relevant follow-ups, we found significant improvements. My key message, therefore, is that the country's supreme audit institutions can play important role in initiating and sustaining efficient public sector asset management.
Professional networks and building a sustainable community of practice, such as the CEF network or the Epsom program, are an essential pillar to enhance public sector asset management. It is key to learn from each other, to exchange common practices, and to continuously improve asset management practices, including adapting to new trends such as digitalization.
It is incredibly important to share experiences in public sector asset management and public sector reforms. Epsom has given us a great platform to do so, and also provided us with the opportunity to network, to work with colleagues of similar minds, and to exchange ideas, provide new avenues for collaboration.
What may not be immediately evident about our program is the wide range of talented and motivated experts that have been involved. This is very good for us because it creates a friendly and supporting environment to develop our courses and webinars. Needless to say, it is also very beneficial to the participants.
This program builds on the important trend to integrate public sector asset management into a broader set of public sector reforms, which is to ensure that public assets are managed efficiently, effectively, and transparently, leading to improved service delivery and better value for money. By fostering a culture of knowledge sharing and collaboration, this program aims to contribute to the development of a dynamic and effective public sector asset management community.
There's many pressures facing public sector asset managers at the moment, but the two that are key for me is how we develop our approaches after COVID and look at the way we work, look at office accommodation and the way that we need to adapt from that. The second is the biggest area of all, which is sustainability, the climate agenda and how we move towards net zero. For both of these subjects on our journey, we've got no final solutions, but I believe the Epsom programme will help us in those journeys.
Epsom, Efficient Public Sector Asset Management Program, has delivered many learning initiatives so far. I would stress out the importance of having reliable information on assets. I would also stress out the notion of getting people on board, people who are decision makers, people who find it very important to translate the information on assets into the decision-making process. So even if we compile the information, that information needs to be well processed, and it needs to lead to decision-making process.